Good morning. It is Friday, April 17th. It is 9:20. And we are hearing an amendment to H 955, an act relating to next steps in transforming Vermont's education system. We have Representative Kate Logan with us via Zoom to tell us about her amendment. It's posted on our committee page and in today's calendar for whichever path folks want to take to find it. Kate, the floor is yours. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Can you hear me okay?
We're going to turn you up a little bit, but you're good. You don't have to do anything on your end.
Okay. Representative Kate Logan from Burlington. Thanks so much for having me today. Briefly, this is already, the amendment is already language that is in H 955. It just moves it from one section to another, which will change the date of implementation. So this is the section that is regards tuition payment on top of the payment from the sending school. And this would, as I said already in H 95, this would move up the implementation date to this year instead of 2028. So that the motivation for this is really as we've already acknowledged that we want to have as much equity as possible in our school system across the state. We also recognize that we need to manage costs as much as possible, and so we agree on this policy. So implementing sooner would just relieve some pressure on our education fund.
Can you help me understand how it would relieve pressure on the education fund?
By reducing or costs on families, I'm sorry, create more equity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Any questions for Representative Logan?
So, Kate, I was wondering, is part of this whole education transformation on a fairly gradual timeline, and it would seem when we brought the amendment through, it was trying to line up when the foundation formula became effective. So why jump ahead of that?
I think it's just a matter of equity right now for families, that we recognize that that we're all under a lot of financial pressure, and we recognize this as a particular issue. And we also recognize that there's an unfairness to public school students having to pay more for their education than they otherwise would if they had a school that they could attend locally.
Representative Benny?
What about activities that are already in process? I know when my children were in high school, the French class went to Paris. It was a 2-year process to set money aside to pay for that trip for the whole group. What would happen to them?
That was part of the tuition payment. That was included. That wasn't additional costs from the family.
Part of the cost to go to France as part of the French class.
I mean, my children went to a French immersion public school when they were really young, before we moved to Vermont, and out in Eugene, Oregon, and they went on a class trip. My daughter went on a class trip, and we paid for that out of pocket. And we did fundraising as well on top of that in the community to try to provide scholarships for families who could not.
Right, and that's exactly what's happening here too. But so your thought is that that kind of activity would be exempt?
Yeah, I wouldn't consider that tuition.
If you're just moving up the dates in the existing bill, that would be part of that would be included.
Why would that be included?
It's considered a fee and it applies to all schools. Representative
Gotcha.
Holcomb?
Clarify that, because my understanding is a tuition fee, that's a required payment to participate. But for example, our local school fundraises for a trip, so they do car washes and take blah, blah, blah. That's not a fee because parents aren't obligated to participate in order, it's not pay to play.
I heard Representative Logan saying that her family also paid for that field trip.
Okay.
Maybe I misheard. Okay,
Was it a required fee?
Yeah, and I wouldn't consider it a school fee. And it was not mandatory.
So that's the
so that would be prohibited under this language, a school fee,
school fee. Yeah.
unless you change the language in the from our underlying.
Why would that be considered a school fee?
She just said that.
Well, I think
No,
that-
I said it, no, it was not considered a school fee because it's not
Oh.
mandatory. Yeah, no, it's an out-of-pocket expense, educational expense for the families.
Oh, I'm sorry. So my understanding from legislative council is that they would consider that a fee that will be prohibited in the future, when the foundation formula takes effect.
So I'm sorry, can you just
But we can have them, just one moment, Rebecca, Susan Holcomb. And we don't have them here with us now to hear the amendment, and certainly we can dive into that more, at some point with them. But you're just moving the dates in your amendment, right? Am I understanding that right? Okay. Representative Higley.
But doesn't it also include a section 824 above and beyond section 823, which is 824 is high school tuition?
That just makes some slight amendments to reference the fact that this is changing from one section to another for the start date. I don't think it would have an impact on the underlying policy itself.
Yeah, I just noticed that addition is 823 and 824.
Right.
Representative Holcomb?
I'm just trying
Now
to,
in the same section that there doesn't need to be a reference to 824 because now the language is in the same section so it doesn't need to refer to itself. I hope that makes sense.
Thank you.
It's a hard amendment to read actually, because it doesn't show you what it accomplishes.
The whole bill is like that, unfortunately. It's very awkward. Representative Holcomb?
I'm just trying to make sure I understand what we already got in 955. And just to very concretely, there's a school near me that raises money every year for an 8th grade class trip. Parents can donate. They do not have to donate, and the class raises to ensure everybody can participate through bake sales and car washes and everything else that kids do. Is your understanding that that is prohibited?
Oh, no.
Why? I'm not asking you why, but I think this brings up enough just to have a conversation to make sure we know what is and isn't.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah, no, and if the foundation formula actually prevents like the kind of thing that I was just talking about, and a couple others in your committee were talking about, like class trips that are not part of the budget, the school budget, are additional activities on top of that are fundraised for or directly contributed to by the families, then that means every public school wouldn't be allowed to do that once the foundation formula goes into effect. I would say that isn't probably our intention.
So that is my understanding of, so I think those are two separate things that you just said. One is the ability to fundraise to support an activity, and the other is the ability to directly require families to pay for an activity.
Oh,
And fundraising still allowed. I think that whether that should be allowed or not, I think is also an interesting area for debate that this bill, that 955 does not get into. The ability to charge for a fee is prohibited in 955 as passed the House yesterday. But in the future, when the foundation formula takes effect and all districts have a guaranteed amount of money and all taxpayers are paying the same rate. Far off in the future when that's all happening. Right now, taxpayers are paying such different rates. School districts are receiving such different amounts of money. It seems a little early to be moving forward with this. Representative Holcomb.
I just want to say, there are towns that if this was in effect currently, and if we had not made an error in the weights, that would be subject to this, that excess spending penalty. I just have to observe that.
Who charge fees?
Who charge tuition, I don't, they may charge fees, but I know that because they charge parents tuition, if they were not allowed to do that currently, as this amendment says, and if we had not made a mistake in the weights, they would be subject to the excess spending penalty. There are districts that have parents pay from one estimate as much as $1 million over and beyond total district spending in
For tuition.
additional tuition.
Okay.
And I'm just saying that is a fact, that this provision that this amendment is trying to restrict is a provision that, as long as we don't put it into play, is affecting who is subject to the excess spending penalty.
Anyone else? I think this is 955 is a very carefully constructed bill with a number of pieces that all are sort of carefully played together with effective dates. And I think any changes to them are ill-advised at this particular moment in the bill's journey. So I'm going to recommend that we find this amendment unfavorable. And thank you so much for your time, Representative Logan. Really appreciate you being here and thinking these things through with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I'm going to ask for a straw poll. All those who agree with finding this unfavorable, please raise your hand. Thank you. All those opposed to finding it unfavorable, please raise your hand. Thank you.
So we've got an unfavorable 10-1-0.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Representative Logan. Votes. Oh, Representative.
Comment.
Yeah.
I understand we'll get yield bill back. And there's-
Indeed.
And that there are a number of things that we may be able to address in the yield bill that will encompass some of these discussions. I mean, we'll have to wait and see, but I just as soon work on it in one fell swoop than in piecemeal. That turns out to be effective, then yes, but I mean, I just making this comment.
I think the conversation around the excess spending threshold and is, yes, we will.
Thank you.
And the yield bill is a must pass, so we have to spend as much time on it as we need as it comes over.
Appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Representative Holcomb.
I just want to say, I do agree that the timing of this amendment is problematic. I know it was not going to go through, so it's a protest vote. Some of the issues behind this have been, we've been asking for them to be addressed for 2 years, since January. We have to talk about these issues because it's creating very, very unfair distorting effects. And so I agree that the timing is problematic, but I would like us to have a chance to discuss these.
Yeah, and the underlying language is in 955. It's just not as, I think, soon as some people would like.
And there are some districts that will not make it there because we have chosen for 2 years not to have this conversation.
Thanks, everyone. We are going to the floor. We will have 955 on the floor. If we finish by 11, we're actually coming back up here to hear S157 and act relating to recovery resident certification. My understanding, it has a very peripheral fiscal impact, but that is all I know. So see you then